Today's tutorial is going to be an in-depth look at a free software called Photoscape X. I'm going to take you through this tutorial from the perspective of people that do business online and how that person would use this program. And I also want to show you a very powerful feature of Photoscape X that you can't get inside of Photoshop. So with that, let's get started. I am starting right here at this little icon, and what you're seeing here with all of these tiles are actually tutorials on how to use this program. So Photoscape has actually put together a whole bunch of little quick tutorials that cover specific areas of this software. So even though this software is very intuitive and very easy to use, once you kind of understand where everything's at, you can still come back here and look at different tutorials. So say you want to use the red eye correction and you're not sure how to use it, you can click on here and you're going to get a tutorial video on how to do it. So if you're just starting out with this program, this is going to be a great resource for you. Remember, it's right here in this icon, this little Photoscape icon. And what I'm going to do today is review this area right here just to get you familiar with the program and let you know where everything's at. Once you know where everything's at, it's pretty simple to use. And if you get stuck on something, of course, you can always come back here to all of these different tutorials that they've got. So let's go ahead and start off with the viewer. All of these pictures are from a folder that is on my computer. I have it in my downloads. So when you set up all of your images, anything that you want to use in one specific project, you should put it in one folder on your computer, and then you can navigate to that once you're in the program. So I've got all of these images here and I've navigated to this program, so that's what it's showing me here. And the only thing that you really need this viewer for is to see exactly what's on your computer. If you come straight to the editor, you're going to get something that looks like this, and it's much smaller, so you're not able to see it as clearly as you can in the viewer. So if you want to just review everything that you're working with, you can come over to the viewer and you have several options for viewing. You can view a grid style like what we're looking at here. View just the file names, dimension sizes here. View them like this, a larger view or a single view. And then you can view it full screen. And here at the bottom, it's going to have the file name, size, dimensions, date, and all of that information available for you. So we're going to go ahead and close that. And we're going to move on to the editor. The editor is probably the biggest area that you're going to be, or it has the most functionality, but once you understand what's in the editor, you'll use the same things inside of batch and all of those areas. So this is going to be where we're going to spend most of our time. We're going to start here with edit. So in edit, you have all of the basic photo editing tools. You even have some presets here. These are pretty common presets. So you have grayscale, sepia, and some others here. So down here you have all of your undo redo buttons comparing to the original and comparing to the last step that you made. And then you have this option right here, which is to revert to your original. So that's going to remove all of the edits that you've made to the photograph. Down here you have other options. Okay, so that's basic for this right here. You've got color right here. So this is where you make all of the adjustments to your colors. And then you have film. Film has 6 different areas right here. This first one, film, which are basic presets. And I just wanted to bring your attention to this area right here. Now I'm working in the free version. I do not own the pro version of this software, but if you like a lot of presets and stickers and things like that, you can definitely purchase it. I believe it's like $40 or something. It's a one-time payment for that, but there's so much just in this area right here that you can make your own, and you don't really need all of this stuff, but it's really up to you. If you like those quick presets and you don't have them available up here in the free options, then that might be an option for you. Once you've set a preset, you can come down here and control how much of that filter that you want to apply to the image. Come over to duotones, and this is the exact same thing. And then overlays, and inside of overlays and some of these other ones, you also have the option for blend modes. So this is normal. This is what it would look like normally. Of course, that's a little bit too much for this and it doesn't look realistic. So you can come in and something else that might work for this image. You can get a lot of interesting effects like that. So there are tons of different blend modes, pretty much the same thing that you get inside of Photoshop if you're familiar with that. And then you have these old photo grunge style overlays, you've got some dirt and scratch overlays, and then you've got some textures in here. For the most part, for all of these, you are going to have, once you choose them, you're going to have other options down here, whether it's an amount, scale. Let's see, this one also had white, gray, black. So you're going to have other options down here depending on whatever you've chosen up here. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to move on to light. Light also has 5 different sections here. We have this first section, which are all the presets, and then you get into the pro section down there. You have light leaks. Now if you choose a light leak, so I'm choosing this one, you'll get something that looks like this, and this is just going to allow you to place the light leak wherever you want it to go on your image, and you can kind of move it around and see what you like. And of course you have all of these other options down here. Lens flares, the same thing. You have the option to move it around. You also have these bouquet style. I'm gonna change that back to that regular circle because this is what you would see when you open it up for the first time. Sometimes it keeps your last adjustments for things that you've used last. So you would normally see something like this. And then you can also change the shapes. Photoscape comes with all of these shapes. And they also have other, these like kind of gradient styles as well. Definitely take a look at all of this stuff down here. And then you have all these options for adjustments. So you can make something very interesting with these bouquet settings. Next we have lights. So you have 5 free lighting effects here. You can of course come down here and make a lot of different adjustments to the 5 that they give you. Let's move on to frames. Now in frames, now this is picking up on stuff that I've already used or I've played with before, so you'll probably see something like that. Of course you can play with the roundness, you can cut the corners, you probably won't see that, and you can reduce the background. Okay, so a lot of these are going to have these options right here for your backgrounds. Just know that right here, if you see this with this little pattern and these colors right here, these are just choosing a background for your image. You can also add patterns to your images. There are tons of different background patterns that you can use. You can come down here and grab those. The first ones are all going to be free. Once you have a design chosen, you can also scale that design as well, move it around, rotate it, and do all of those things there. So you're not married to the design that they give you here. You can start with that and then change it up as much as you need to as well. Now you have several different styles that you can choose from here. On certain ones you can even adjust the stroke, color of the stroke and things like that. So this one is actually not the background, this is the stroke, and then you can change the background as well. This is just the borders. There are 3 sections here that you can work with. This one right here, this middle one, are all shapes, so you can crop your image into a shape or mask it out, I should say. You have plenty to choose from here. So then we've got frames, and of course down here we've got all of those options for the backgrounds. So that is frames. Now we're going to move on to insert. Inside of insert you have all of these right here and all of this stuff right here. So insert does have a lot going on in here, and it's got stickers. You can add another image. If you want to add a logo or something like that, you can do that here. You can add figures, which are, you know, basically shapes and things like this. Text, which is something that I use a lot here. Now you can't edit this directly on the canvas. You actually have to edit here on the side menu. Type it up here, change the font to anything that you have on your system, and you can add patterns, colors, and this is just like what we had before with the background. And then of course your text alignment, angles, opacity. You have a lot of other options down here. So this transform would be adding maybe angles if you want to turn it into an arc, or anything else here. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. I just added another one. Let me delete that. come back in here. So you've got that. You can add an outline, drop shadow, outer glow, gradients, all of that stuff you can do with your text. So let's move on to Magnify. This one I think is very interesting, but you can actually magnify certain areas of your image. So if you're trying to bring attention to something inside of the image, you can do that with this magnifier, and this is very interesting, especially if you're creating product images and things like that, where you want to show a lot of the detail in a specific area of the image. This is a great option, and it's really easy to use. That is the magnifier, and then you also have the filter. Actually, I'm gonna revert to get rid of all of that stuff. I'm gonna go back into the filter, and I'm gonna use the blur. So this is just blurring out certain areas of the photo. Maybe you're blurring out sensitive information. Maybe, I don't know, you want to blur something out that you're going to be using, like a teaser for social media, like a promotion or something, and you want to hide that, but just kind of give a little teaser. So this is good for stuff like that as well. And there are different styles of this blur: mosaic, crystallized, jitter, and you can come in and play with all of those to see what you like. And then you have this right here. Let me revert here. And this right here is most like what you would see in Photoshop, because you can draw on your canvas, and they give you a few free brushes here. There's not much you can do as far as making adjustments to create something special, but you know, they're there, and if you need them for any reason, you have them. You do have the ability to make some adjustments to the brushes, but not anywhere near what you would have in Photoshop. So, but it's there. And then you have, you know, your color settings, blend modes, opacity, and all of that stuff for your brushes. I'm gonna go ahead and close that. Let's revert here. And then you have scatter brush. This is kind of like a bouquet style brush, where you can actually paint on your own confetti and things like that. So I like this, I like these brushes a lot. And of course, all of the same features that you had with the regular brush. There are some things that I really do like in here, specifically this spot healing. And there is a tutorial directly from Photoscape for this, but I just want to show it to you quickly because it's really easy to use. I'm going to just focus in on this wing right here, and if I wanted to remove this, I set my brush size, and all I really have to do is make sure that what I want to remove is inside that circle, and click. That's basically it. So I can get rid of pretty much anything I don't want here just with the click of a button. So this is a pretty nice thing to have if you're doing quick spot healing. So make sure to check out all of the tutorials that they have for all of this stuff. Every single one of these is going to have a tutorial up here in this section. So make sure to check those out. Inside of insert, I'm going to take you back there one more time, because they also have this section right here, which I forgot to show you a minute ago. In here you can add, so say you're doing a tutorial and you have an image that you want to point something out in, maybe highlight something. This is great for that. So these arrows right here, and all you have to do is drag it out on the photo to bring attention to whatever it is that you want to bring attention to on the image. I use this a lot for my written tutorials. And then you have lines, you have these squares. So maybe I want to put a square around this, point to it even. I just really want your attention on this section of this image. And then you also have all of these same tools as well. You have full block. So say you want to block out an entire section here. Maybe you're doing a blog post or something, and you want to put text here. You can definitely do that. Change your opacity a little bit, add some text. So there's plenty that you can do inside of this program for bloggers, for anyone making thumbnails for YouTube, social media, or anything that you're creating images for. You can very easily do that right here inside this program. Even though this is an image editor, you have tons of tools to get all of those things done as well. Okay, so I am going to revert back, and I kind of skipped over that one section in insert, so we've already gone over tools. And next I want to come back over here and show you cutout. Cutout is a feature inside of Photoscape that allows you to remove the background or certain sections of an image. For example, with this one, if you have the plus, that means you're erasing, and this is restoring. So right now we're working with erase, and there are 3 options. You have the magic eraser, lasso, and brush. With the magic eraser, you can set your tolerance all the way up or down to pick up on different colors, and it's going to remove those colors from the image. Now this can be pretty time consuming if you're just kind of clicking all over the place. So what you can do is either use the lasso, which I don't know, maybe I just want to remove all of this stuff right here, and it's going to remove everything that I lassoed in. I can also come in with a brush and erase using the brush. And then of course I can zoom in really closely to get this back in there. Now remember, this is restore, so I can come in and paint all of this stuff back in there. And then you can come back here. So we're going to erase, have a really small brush, and then come in and get these little detail areas. So that is cut out. Now I want to show you batch. This batch area is the main reason why I use Photoscape, even though I do work in Photoshop the majority of the time. I love the batch editor in this. If I did a batch edit inside of Photoshop, I would have to create an action for it, and I'd have to create an action for each size that I want to create. That is a little time consuming. I do have actions for it, I just don't like doing it. So it's just so much easier to come into Photoscape, grab everything in my folder, and resize it. Okay, what I'm going to do is just grab all of the images that I have here and then drop them here. And it's going to load all of the images up here. Now anything that I do to this image, it's going to do to all of the images that I have here. When I'm cropping this landscape image, it's also going to crop this image. It's going to look a little strange. I don't like to crop portrait images with landscape images, only because it's kind of unpredictable what you're going to get. So I'll go ahead and remove some of these. I'm going to remove this one, this one, and that one. I'm going to leave this one because I want you to see what it's going to look like. So we're going to come in here. These are all of the options you have inside of batch. Everything that you have here is exactly what I showed you in the editor. I'm going to come in here, and I want to change the dimensions of this image to 800 pixels by 500 pixels. This is something that I use often because it's the size I use for my blog feature image. So what I do is any blog feature images that I'm going to use, I always come in and I'll crop them to this specific size. I use this sharper resampling for image reduction. There are other options here, but when I'm usually reducing in this program, so I use this. And now I'm going to come through and show you what it's done to all of the images. So you can see that everything in here has been cropped down from, so this one is going from 6,000 by 4,000 to 800 by 500. The same thing with this image right here. This was a long portrait image. It's now a landscape image, and the whole sky has been cropped out, as well as the bottom area. So we're going to go ahead and keep that resize, and then you can come in and you can work with color. You can add filters, like sharpen, vignettes. Maybe I'm going to add a high vignette. Come into film, and at first glance you're not going to see all of those filters in there, but if you press that little plus, you're going to see all of that stuff come up. I'm going to cancel that because I don't want any of those filters in there. You can add all that light. Again, at first glance, you're not going to see it. This right here, the insert, this is where you can add text, your logo, and all of that stuff. So we're going to click on text, and I'm going to bring this down to the bottom. Now remember, you can't edit the text directly on the canvas. You'll have to come over to this pop-up window and add it there. So why would you add a text to something that's going to show up on all of your images? So for me, the reason that I would add something like this, like hashtag vacation or hashtag quick tips or anything like that, is when I'm using this for social media. So for example, I know a lot of people will do Tip Tuesday or things, you know, just specific type of content that they put out every single week with tips, tricks, whatever it is, motivation or whatever. If you have a theme going on your social media or on your blog like that, then you can grab a ton of images, add all of your filters, crop them to the correct size, do all of that stuff all at once. Add your hashtag for your Motivation Monday or whatever it is that you're doing. And then all you have to do is write out all the copy for it and you're pretty much done. If you do have a themed Instagram account or whatever, any type of social media account, and you're using pictures like this is a great way to save a ton of time. So once you're happy with everything, you can just come down here to save, and it's going to give you all of these options here for types of files. I'm going to go ahead and stick to JPEG file. I'm going to save these to the current folder, and I'm going to add a prefix of 500 because I changed these to 800 by 500. So I'll go ahead and batch them with this so I know the difference. Also, you can change your DPI as well. So if you want print quality, you would come in here and do that there. Go ahead and click OK. So I'm going to show this in the Finder, and it's showing me right here all of my images that I just created. All of these have this little hashtag on it. They all have that vignette going on there, and you can see my dimensions right here, 800 by 500, all of them. They all have those dimensions, and then these are the original files. So you can see it brought them down, and it happened in a matter of seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And that is the batch tool. Very, very powerful tool right here for productivity and saving tons of time. So we're going to move on from that to Collage. Inside of Collage, you have a whole bunch of different types of picture frames, or like mood board style frames, collage frames in here that you can choose from. And by the way, you don't have to scroll through all of those. You can come over here and choose each section. So I'm going to choose, this one has 4. So if I want to add 4 pictures, these are all the styles available for 4 pictures. This is for 5 pictures and 6 pictures and so on. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. And then if I want to remove an image, I just have to click anywhere inside of here. This pop-up's going to come up and I can just press right here. And of course you have a lot of other options here. You can work with those later on. But I'm going to add this image, and it's just as easy as dragging them in. So if you've collected a whole bunch of images and you want to turn them into a mood board, then this is a great way to do that. And then you can come in and adjust and move things around. As much as you want to get the effect that you're going for. We're gonna move over to Combine. Combine is almost the same thing as Collage, except that you're using a strict grid here. meaning, you know, you had a lot of, inside of collage, you have a lot of creative freedom, I guess, you know, to kind of move things around. It's a lot more fluid here. Whereas combine, when I add my images there, I'm going to just drop them in. And you'll see that it's just basically going to give me all of those images in a grid. Now you have a lot of options when it comes to your grid. You can change your margins, you can change the spacing, roundness, and then you've got all of these options as well. Again, you can also change the dimensions of your thumbnails here. So I want them all to be 300, so or 300 by 300, so that's what I'm gonna get here. So there's a lot here. I want to have 4 columns, and you can change this grid any way you want. You can change the background, like I said earlier, and do all of that. Now you have a tile, which is what we're looking at here, and then you have horizontal and you have vertical, so you'll get them all like that. Then you have this create a GIF or GIF, however you like to say that. And I'm gonna grab a few pictures here, just 4, drop them in here, and you can see how it's animated them there. Now you can adjust the duration up here, change the transition. Of course, if you change the transition, it's gonna look more like a slideshow than it is, you know, an actual GIF or GIF. Let me go ahead and do that, apply, and you can see that it's changed it more into a slideshow effect. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it is. You can adjust the size to whatever you want it to be. And then right here, they're giving you the option to add text. And then you can choose where on the image or where on the GIF you want that text to be. You can change the style of the font, and then you can change the size as well, add an outline, and do all of that stuff here. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to print. Print is something that I believe is going to be mostly for photographers. So say you've done a photo shoot, or you know, run a blog or a business. Maybe you have a product catalog or something that you've taken a whole bunch of photos for. Then you can drop those in here. This is just giving you a print version of all of those images that you have there. So say you did a product photo shoot, you have the entire file and you want to drop them into something like this. There are a few options in here. I have it at set to US paper landscape. You can set it to portrait. Set this to cell size. So if you want it to, and set the size dimensions here as well. So I had it set to wallets. Let's go portrait. And then when I scroll up, so you can see it's given me all of those images in a printable sheet. So if you need to share these with someone else, if you have a meeting maybe, and you want to prepare these images for a group of people to choose specific images or talk about specific images, like for a photo shoot for a client, product catalog, or, you know, choosing photos for your displays. Then we have these tools right here. We've got screen capture, color picker, and rename. These are pretty straightforward. To learn more about working in Photoscape, watch one or both of the videos up on the screen right now, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, thanks for watching.